Last time we were working on the blade, I was using the spoke shave to clean up the edge of the blade and get it down to, pare it down to a nice smooth surface. Of course, that wasn't the finished surface. After I did that, I went back to my rasp, and this is really important because where it comes into the rounder part over here at the throat of the paddle, where the throat meets the shaft meets the blade, then I'm going to use that rasp, the round part, to just file that out or rasp that out, so I get a nice smooth curvature here, and on this side as well, a curvature going down. And I work that off on both sides. You have to remember you're doing a quarter at a time. You're doing one side, another, and another, and keep that in mind so that you can keep this edge straight. And I'm constantly looking down as if I was sighting a gun, looking down the edge here to see that the edge is straight. I'll put guidelines on there, but they tend to get ferret away as you're working, so you always have to replace them. And what I'll do then is I'll redo all my lines, making sure that it's straight. Don't trust your eyes all the time. Trust your hand better than your eyes. And then once you're ready to get it all sighted in, use a straight edge of some sort so that you can get that exactly the straightness that you want. Put a straight edge up against the edge of your blade to make sure that everything is nice and straight and that the blade has a continuous line that is all the way straight right to the tip of the blade from the throat of where the blade meets the shaft. After you've done that, then you want to switch over to a sander. And what I would do is I'd get 40 grit or 60 grit, something that's pretty heavy. And then you're going to, or you don't have to do this, but if you want to put a little bit of a groove in here, which I like to do on a lot of the paddles, and it gives a little bit of a highlight to where the scale comes across off the shaft and into the blade. And then I'll sand in there, just feather sanding like this. Of course, the machine's on. And feather sand in there just to create that little bit of a groove. And I've already started it, of course, using the rasp like you see here. Using this rasp, I started the groove, and then I'm going to finish it off using a 60 or 40 grit, and then I'll progress to a 80 grit, and of course on down the line until I get to a 220 in the end. But right now, all I'm concerned about is a rough in of this nice groove that we're not groove, but a setting that I have between the shaft and the blade. It gives it a nice look and a nice feel. So it's not just round. Round is okay, but I like to have that little bit of a raised portion there. But it's very important that you do it consistently all the way down. And then you got to be careful where you start flattening out the blade. I like to flatten out the blade, not a little bit above halfway, just a little bit above halfway, so that the distance from here to here is fairly flat, and there's a little bit of taper, and then it tapers up right about this point up into the shaft. You don't want to have it too flexible. You want to have it, there is a medium flex, a hard flex, and then a really soft flex if you want that in there. I like to go for a medium to hard flex on most of the paddles that I make. It gives them the strength they need, but the flexibility that they can actually have a little bit of spring in the water, especially if you're using a solid wood paddle like you have here. If you're using laminates, of course, it's not going to have very much of a flex at all because it is laminated in the blade itself. All right, so that's where we're at right now. I'm just giving a final sand, getting into the final sandings of the blade, and looking forward to seeing it actually a finished product.